Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Family Time. We welcome you also, those of you on Facebook and YouTube Live, on the Love 101 Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Now, Family Time is about your issues, your relationships. We are your at home family, your community family. We are your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to a healthy nation. Stay with us and join in. I'm your host today, Tamaya Wilson. Today, we're going to be looking at more of those frequently asked questions and issues that come up during premarital counseling. And while we do that, if you are planning on getting married, and have a question or an issue that you would like to advise us that you would like advice on, ask us. You can WhatsApp your questions to 876-997-3125. Keep your voice notes no longer than 30 seconds. Now, you also can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. We really want to hear from those who are planning to get married, not those who are already married. Okay? Now, throughout the program, we will share your thoughts. Remember that you can watch us live on the Love 101 Facebook and YouTube channels. We'll be right back with returning resident special guest, Sonia Winter.
Get ready for another Testimony Tuesday inside Alive 1 to 5 with me, Sarah, and the Chirpy One, February 8th. 2 o'clock will be time for Prayer Blast feature. More prayer, more power. 2:15 inside the evidence, we share with you another powerhouse testimony boasting about our great God. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with visually impaired, a pastor, author, and trained teacher, Pastor Shauna Gay of the Mount Providence New Testament Church of God. All this and more will come your way inside Alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
It may be the most famous and best known psalm of all time, written around 1000 BC by David, who would become king, and sung in all genres of music by Christians and non-Christians. What is it about this psalm? Psalm 23. Listen to the discussion and join into The Rock this Tuesday, February 8 at 10 a.m. with host Bishop Harris Steve Blair and guests Julianne Keene, Reverend Bruce Paulson, and Pastor Leo Porter. How do we as Jamaicans and Caribbean people relate to the words, to the meanings, to the imagery today? What is the point of Psalm 23? You'll find out as you listen to The Rock this Tuesday, February 8 at 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Okay, welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And welcome to our special guest, Mrs. Sonia Winter. Sonia Winter is a licensed associate counseling psychologist who provides counseling and psychotherapy specializing in many areas, including anger, anxiety, depression, panic, parenting, and of course, premarital counseling. How are you, Sonia?
Hi, greetings, Tamayo. I'm great, thank you. Happy New Year.
The
Happy
same to
pre-Valentine's.
you. The same to you, my dear. So good
Thank,
to have you as usual.
thank you very much. Greetings.
Great. Now remember that we want to hear from you, our audience. So if you are planning on getting married, not those of you who are married already, and you have a question or an issue that you would like advice on, WhatsApp your text and voice notes under 30 seconds to 876-997-3125. Or you can watch us and comment live on the Love 101 Facebook and YouTube channels. Or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. And throughout the program, we're going to try to address the questions that you raise. Now, it is February. Some call it the love month. And I suspect that this is why it is one of the most popular months for weddings. And if you are getting married this month, Congrats and enough blessings on you. But did you go through premarital counseling? Are you more prepared now than you were a month ago? Well, ready or not, we are here with some more premarital counseling. So, Sonia, we had a very good chat last time, and time has flown, and I can't believe it's February already. But you can just recap for us what premarital counseling is and why it's important.
Okay, thanks, Tamaya. Okay, premarital counseling. Last time we talked about the fact that there are different types of counseling, and premarital is but one. Premarital counseling, I think it's probably easier to think about it as coaching, in that before you actually get married, in fact, at Family Life Ministries, we're now saying before you even get engaged, it might be a good
The
idea to do
pre-engagement
counseling,
counseling.
pre-engagement counseling, exactly, because you want to be sure that you're making the right decisions. You want to be sure that you have the right skills to have a successful union and long
Right.
lasting, fulfilling union. You know what I mean? You want to be sure that you've asked each other the right questions to really get to know each other's important values,
Mm-hmm.
um, important faith-based questions, that you're both on the right page,
Right.
that you know how to plan together, plan for children, do
Mm-hmm.
financial planning together, have
Right.
tough discussions together, manage
Mm-hmm.
conflict together, nurture your friendship together,
Right.
and create a shared life together that you're planning for and celebrating with each other, knowing how to support each other through difficult times as well.
Right.
There's a
Right.
lot of things that make a marriage successful that don't necessarily come spontaneously, Tamaya, um,
Yes.
some of us are lucky that it works out, and we're able to figure it out, but those
Yes.
that do are in the minority. That's why
Mm-hmm.
so many
Mm-hmm.
marriages fail.
Right.
And premarital counseling gives you the best fighting chance to have a really satisfying relationship with this important other.
Yes. So true. Now, how do couples know what issues to discuss and when? Because sometimes you might not even know you have an issue until there's a blow up, a big argument, a letdown, a disappointment, something happens.
Yeah. You know what? The thing about it is a big part of dealing with a blow up and different issues is quite honestly, Tamaya, knowing how to process it together.
Yes.
For many clients, what really destroys and sabotages their connection with each other is how they handle conflict and
Right.
differences of opinion, differences in need, misunderstanding, difference in understandings.
Right.
All of these are what we call conflict of some form. And conflict can be large and small. And more important than sometimes, in fact, oftentimes, I'm not,
Yes.
I say so without fear of contradiction, that
Mhm.
oftentimes it is more the way that we process the conflict than the conflict itself that
Right.
is damaging to the relationship. So
Mm.
if you think about two people, sure, there will be deal breakers,
Right.
things that they have that they cannot possibly negotiate. Number one,
Hmm.
they cannot live
Right.
with it unresolved. Okay, but those differences are by far the minority. Couples
Hmm.
often end up um, sabotaging their relationship because when conflict comes up, they don't know how to handle it, and they end up hurting each other in how they process the conflict.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that more often than not, that's the problem.
So it's the how you go about it, not so much that you're actually having a conflict.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because as I said, the deal breaker issues are by
Hmm.
far the minority. By far the minority.
Right.
But
Okay.
it's when I don't agree with you, or so I don't, or our needs don't quite intersect, which is
Right.
going to happen. It's going to happen with anybody you
Yes.
marry, right?
Right.
That we don't quite know how to deal with that, and that's where premarital coaching is fantastic. We actually have role plays. We give the couples scripts. We give them
Scenarios.
tools.
Right.
Exactly, we give them case studies, and then often too they discuss um, problems that they haven't been able to really resolve. and they
Mm-hmm.
actually take it to the premarital counseling session
Right.
and process it there together.
Mm-hmm.
And the therapist can kind of coach them to
True.
to get there to in a constructive way to express their needs, and in a
Right.
constructive way to negotiate a position with each other.
Right. Right. Now, is premarital counseling a prerequisite for everybody? Can we get married without it?
Oh, for sure. I would imagine most people do. And
Mm-hmm.
either because they haven't heard about it, nobody has required them to, and they
Right.
don't know the benefits of it, right? But
Right.
there's some people, once you're a member of a church community, sometimes the church will require that you do it before you actually um have the wedding service at that
Right.
church, you know. So
Right.
oftentimes that's what happens, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes word of mouth. You know, one couple will say, "Boy, I really benefited a lot from this
Right.
experience," and they share it with their friends, and
Right.
so it's the word gets out. But it's not
Yeah.
it's not a requirement
Mm-hmm.
by any means before marriage. It's a nice to have, but there's
Right.
some situations where the church might require that it be done.
Okay. Okay. Now, I just want to pause here to point out that premarital counseling does cost money. It is not free. There may be some counseling centers who may offer a one-off free session here and there, but it will cost money. And I want to encourage you, do not be deterred by the cost of premarital counseling because the investment in your marriage is incomparable. Cut something out of the wedding, cut out a few guests, it is worth it. I cannot underscore it enough how important premarital counseling is to the longevity of your marriage. I mean, it's not a guarantee that you will never get divorced and you will never have, and that you will always have a happy relationship, but it is going to really put you ahead of the game. You know, it's like the breastfed baby start out better,
Oh, I love
kind
that
of,
analogy.
right? You want to really invest in your relationship, in how to handle your conflicts, in how to express yourself and your needs with each other, and premarital counseling is going to help you.
I,
So
I
I had to
I
make that
I
plug.
concur for sure. I often say, the wedding is one day and it's a wonderful day. You know, you want to have the
Yes.
best time, you want to have your
Hmm.
family there, you want to look your best, you want to feel
Right.
your best. But it is
Hmm.
one day. And
Right.
if you're fortunate, the marriage is for the rest of your life. So
Hmm.
premarital counseling is an investment in the rest of your life. It's an
Yes.
investment in your marriage, you know. And for
Yes.
that reason, actually, Tamaya, would you believe I go to wedding expos and wedding shows, and I set up a
Right.
booth and I try to convince the couple, while you're choosing the dress, choose your
Yes.
premarital counselor too, you know, kind
Yes.
of thing. And
Yes.
couples
True.
are always kind of intrigued, and I'm able to convince quite a few couples to think about
Yes.
a budget for premarital. So I enjoy
Right.
it a lot.
And it's a good gift idea
It
for a
is.
couple. If you know a couple who has just gotten engaged or are thinking about getting married, then this might be something that you can say, well, I'll pay for half of your premarital sessions for you. I'll pay for all of your premarital sessions, you know? So
Absolutely.
definitely look out for that. It's really worth it.
Absolutely. And
So
I like your language of saying it's an investment. It certainly is, which does pay dividends.
definitely, definitely. So, Sonia, we're going back to some cases as we did last time. And I want to remind our listeners that the names are made up names, the cases are made up cases. If they sound like your situation or a situation you know, or if you are a client of Sonia or I, neither of us have even contributed to the cases. This our producer created the cases for us to help to bring out some of the issues that may need to be addressed in premarital counseling and to give you guys some ideas about how to handle some of the issues that may come up for you. Okay, so case first case is of Kevin and Keisha. Kevin was sexually abused as a child, and Keisha was raped as a teen. Both are into public display of affection, but they're not sure how their individual trauma is going to affect their love life in private.
Mhm. Um, so that's a challenging one for the individuals, eh? Because sexual assault often can create long-term responses in the individual, which can range from it not having any effect at all, because some people deal with that kind of trauma and learn to incorporate healing into their lives. So it can
Yes.
go from that to some people being triggered, and they're easily reminded of it, and it might affect their mood for a moment,
Right.
distract them for a moment, to it can be as intense, the response can be as intense as PTSD, where when you're triggered, you have nightmares, you have
Yes.
flashback, you have physical reactions to the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
memory, and you almost feel as if you're reliving the experience. And you
Right.
can also start to live your life in avoidance of triggers.
Right.
It can lead to a very diminished life because of how
Mm-hmm.
much you are avoiding being
Right.
triggered by this horrible event.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a young couple or for a couple who are now getting married, of course, there can be a lot of triggering around sexual intimacy with each other.
Right.
And it can sometimes interfere with the intimacy that they share, depending on how much they have been able to heal from the trauma that they experience.
Right.
So that would be important for them to know, for them to kind of explore and go through the triggers that they have been experiencing, how they perceive the experience now, in the in as they look back, what
Mm-hmm.
effect it has on them. And
Yes.
that's where premarital counseling would probably engage in a conversation around what happened, how it affects you today, how you
Right.
see yourself, how it affects how you see other people, how it affects in terms of trust issues and so on,
Right.
how it affects intimacy as well, your
Mm-hmm.
perception now of intimacy. And
Yes.
those are important conversations to have that would gauge how much these historical events would now impact sexual intimacy in the couple.
Right, right. I'm happy you also mentioned trust issues and other issues that may come up because even though the trauma was sexual, it can have effects that are not sexual.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of the effects thereafter are often emotion regulation related, mental
Yes.
health related reactions can happen way into the future, long after an experience such as that. Yes.
Right. Right. Now, I want to
And
remind.
you know
Go
what I
ahead.
underscore, Tamaya, it's about
Yeah.
trusting. It can destroy your ability to, or your willingness to trust other people. That's
Yes.
kind of obvious, even your partner to some degree,
Right.
but
Right.
also to trust yourself, because so many people either feel somehow culpable or responsible for what happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
um, that or that they often lose faith in their ability to make decisions for themselves in
Right.
their own best interest, lose faith in their humanity, the goodness of who they
Yes.
are, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
that can have a really profound and painful effect on them when they're now in an intimate relationship with somebody who's in their
Yes.
personal space.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to remind our listeners that if you're planning on getting married, not already married, just those getting married, and you have a question or an issue that you would like advice on, ask us. We have an expert here to talk with you. WhatsApp
Tamaya, may
text,
I see? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tamaya.
sure. WhatsApp text and voice notes, not longer than 30 seconds, to 876-997-3125. Watch us and comment live on the Love 101 Facebook and YouTube pages. And you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 968-8328 to participate. Also, I am encouraging you to friend us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries, follow us on Instagram at FLMJA, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA. The numbers for the FLM head office are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. All right, so Sonia, we're going to go on to another case.
Oh, Tamaya, if you don't mind, before you
Sure.
move on, with regards to that case, I see a question has come in. Should they get separate counseling to deal with the trauma? Sometimes that kind of trauma can be dealt with them together in session.
Mhm.
Sometimes. you know,
Okay.
and can actually help with their bonding with each other as they
Mm-hmm.
both, because that's almost like a an opening up of
Being
yourself,
vulnerable with each
very
other. Yeah.
vulnerable way, right? So sometimes it can be, but the therapist would be the one to advise whether, you know, something, this is something that may the one each of them, or one of them may need to deal with in individual counseling, really to give them the tools and the support to be able to manage
Right.
that trauma
Right.
in a way that is not, affecting their life in a detrimental way.
Right. Okay. So we have a comment from Facebook, and Karen Copeland says, "I was molested when I was small. From it happened, I don't trust no one with my children."
Hmm. Yes, that's understandable. And for that listener,
Yes.
that is completely understandable. Um, the thing about it is that you have to also be cognizant and it's sufficiently self-aware when your actions now are overcompensating and therefore limiting the healthy development of your child. So,
Yeah.
all parents need to be protective of their children and
Individuals. Yes.
sensible about it.
Right.
Okay. However, it can get, that kind of protection can be overcompensating in a way that it limits the development of the child. And you want to be aware of that as well.
Right. Right. Okay, we have a voice note, so we're gonna ask the studio engineer to play that.
Good evening, married counseling. I am not going to disclose my name, but what I am asking you, as a Christian, never get into this as yet, but I'm asking you, a question. I'm gonna get married. I'm about to get married to a man who already married, but he is divorced, and I am a Christian, and he is a Christian. I am asking you to explain because I what I heard that they said, when a man already married and through them there until death do us part, them say the wife after dead or the husband have to die before you and the man can get married. So I would like explanation from you. Please, I'm asking you. I'm not called disclosing my name, but I'm from An.
Okay. I think what the caller is asking is, if her partner was already married
Right.
and is now divorced, is it acceptable for him to remarry?
Right.
His first wife is still
Still
alive.
alive.
No, I would say that is a faith-based question. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot depends on your own church community and what your personal doctrine says
Mm-hmm.
about marriage about divorce in and of itself, you know.
Yes.
And it might also depend on the church that you're going to. If you don't have a home church of your own, it would depend on what the church that you're going to dictates.
Right.
So they're different positions. People have different opinions, different values, different spiritual doctrines about divorce and whether marriage after divorce is acceptable or not. So I think
Right.
it will depend on the community to which you belong,
Mm-hmm.
and who you're going to subscribe to support you with the wedding and marriage
Right.
vows and so on itself. So it can differ is my answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Sonia. All right, so the second case is that Megan grew up believing a lot of unhealthy things about sex, many of them based on cultural beliefs. However, for Robert, this will be his second marriage, and he doesn't understand her concerns or fears. His wife to be is a virgin.
Yeah, I can completely understand that, can't you,
Hmm.
Tamaya? Because the truth is, we come from a culture where we don't really speak about sex to our children. It's not
Yes.
it's a very uncomfortable topic. And whereas parents and the community at large might sometimes touch on things about relationship and marriage, some of which are um, a bit of a fairy tale, which are kind of folklore, but we don't talk about sex a lot. There's and more I suppose there's sex education in schools, but there's not a lot of sex education at home. And for that reason, it's a sort of a mysterious subject. Also, because in so many families, sex before marriage is not allowed. The mystery of it, and because it's not spoken about, that communicates a taboo to to those growing up, that this is not okay in any shape or form at all, and it's nothing to be mentioned. They don't even, a lot of times, so many families, if you think about it, in Jamaica, they don't even describe body parts by their correct name. It's a lot of consternation and disquiet.
Yes.
It's because it's such almost a forbidden subject to raise, and it's like you don't talk about it in polite company, etc., etc.
Yes.
And so that can make it a very taboo subject. And then combined with the fact that on one day it is absolutely taboo to engage in sex with your partner, you get married, and the next day it all changes very dramatically.
Yes.
That's a little hard to digest and understand sometimes. You know what I mean? And so a lot of questions can arise that where you haven't been educated, okay, and fair as well. So it's quite understandable, and again, that's something that can be addressed in premarital counseling. Just guiding one partner in terms of what to expect, in how to negotiate sex as well. You know what I mean? Because it's a very intimate and intense interaction between two people, and it's important that both of them can communicate around it in a healthy way. So it's a learning for her. I can't remember the imaginary name of the female, but it's a learning for her, which she can benefit from in premarital counseling.
Right. All right, you have been listening to and watching Family Time on Love 101 FM, YouTube, and Facebook. It's produced by Family Life Ministries. If you are planning on getting married and you have questions or issues that you would like advice on, ask us. Ask us via WhatsApp text or voice notes not longer than 30 seconds by messaging 876-997-3125. You can also post on the Love 101 Facebook page or call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8 to participate. We are also on Facebook and YouTube Live, and we want to hear from you. Don't go away. We'll continue looking at issues and questions that are important to those getting married when we get back.
Sagitore advantage, bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no fees, rain or shine, save your time, it's so fine when you bank online.
There's a savings account that meets your need for speed and ease. Sagitore Bank e-Advantage. Bank electronically. No monthly fees. Unlimited free Sagitore Bank ABM withdrawals. Interest on your
Bank with ease, as you please, like a breeze, pay no
Open
fees.
your account today. Sagitore Bank in your corner.
What a good thing to get the third party, brata.
Third-party car insurance just got a whole lot better at Key Insurance. Just add Brata to your third-party motor insurance policy and get collision coverage for your vehicle plus protection to the other driver. Request the quote online at keyinsurancejm.com or call 888-CALL-KEY. It's a third-party Brata. Extra protection, extra savings, and extra peace of mind. Conditions apply.
The Digicel Prime Bundle is your one-stop for premium entertainment. Get more data to watch more movies and binge TV shows in Playgo. Stream unlimited songs and playlists in D-Music. And catch your favorite teams in action on Sportsmax. All your movies, music, sports, and more. Wherever you go, it's time to go all in on premium. With data for each app plus premium entertainment. Now just $850 for a 7-day Prime Bundle. Upgrade today in the My Digicel app. Digicel. Better together.
What a good thing to get the third party, brata.
third-party car insurance just got a whole lot better at Key Insurance. Just add Brata to your third-party motor insurance policy and get collision coverage for your vehicle plus protection to the other driver. Request the quote online at keyinsurancejm.com or call 888-CALL-KEY. It's a third-party Brata. Extra protection, extra savings, and extra peace of mind. Conditions apply.
If one thing me love about Grace Mackerel is that the sauce rich in a quality. Trish from Papine said that. The time by Grace Mackerel is
6 p.m. And welcome back to Family Time, everyone. Now we are looking at frequently asked questions and issues that come up in premarital counseling. And we have Mrs. Sonia Winter with us answering questions. And at this moment, we are looking at some made-up cases, and we're going to go right back into our cases. Now, Carrie Ann's mother doesn't like Leo, the groom. So Leo does not attend family gatherings just to avoid the confrontation with the mother. He gets along with just about everybody else. But according to the mother, Leo is not good enough for her daughter. And having already broken Carrie Ann's heart in the past, she doesn't give Leo any points.
Wow. Carrie Ann and Leo are in for quite a difficult roller coaster ride.
Yes.
Because, marriage has its challenges, and it's so important that the couple have the support of their family and friends to help them through some of those bumpy patches, If it is that Carrie Ann's mom is going to be a voice of dissension, that's going to put the marriage under a lot of strain and stress, You always want to have your close ones, your loved ones on your side and on the marriage, particularly if you're going ahead with it, And so that's a situation where I would try to have maybe a family therapy session to try and see if some of the wounds that have been inflicted can be healed, can be addressed, can be processed, that where there needs to be somebody to take responsibility for their actions in the past, if that is done so that healing and a sense of acceptance can go forward. I think it's important also maybe that the mother gets a chance to be heard as well, in such a setting, but in a way that is supportive and constructive, rather than destructive. So I would say that for that a couple that's in that situation, pull out all the stops, try the best you can to get some form of reconciliation between these two people that are very important to you. You never want to be in a situation where you have to take sides. You instead want to have everyone on the side of the marriage. If this is a marriage, these two people are going ahead with the marriage.
Right.
You want to try to have a reconciliation as best as possible. I would, it's not a guarantee, but I would say try your best to reconcile those differences before moving forward.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I would say the mother should be a part of the counseling. It would be a family counseling session where what we're trying to do is to reconcile some of the painful past that has happened in this relationship.
Right.
I hope that everyone can go forward on the same page.
Right. And it's not just the mother; it could be mother and father if father is there, or if there are aunties or whoever the main influencers in the family.
Yes, for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
Now, once they have kids, Kingston believes that Olivia must stay home and take care of the family, like his mother did. He wants 6 children, 3 boys and 3. She wants to birth 1 child and maybe adopt another and hire a household helper. So very divergent views there.
Absolutely. And again, it comes down to how we're going to process these two differences of opinion. Okay. Yes. Now, a difference like that is something that we call in Gottman therapy, dreams within a conflict, right? So think of this notion. The analogy is that there are 2 people who have differing positions, right? But
Right.
positions are about very firmly held beliefs that they hold at their
Mm-hmm.
core, a
Right.
dream that they've always had and had expectations about in terms of what
Mm-hmm.
their life would look like,
Yes.
and because these dreams are very different, it creates a conflict. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of the interventions in premarital counseling, we actually call discovering the dream within the conflict. And it's
Right.
a conversation that you take two people through. We think of it as two butting heads like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they're holding fast to a dream within their
Right.
heart. And what we do is we coach them through a conversation where each person can almost uncover the dream that's within the heart
Right.
of the other person,
Mm-hmm.
understanding where it comes from, why it's important, and giving
Mm-hmm.
validity to the other person's dream
Right.
and getting it for yourself. And that gives you a better opportunity to then negotiate a position with each other. Because understanding must always precede any persuasion or negotiation.
Right.
The understanding isn't always automatic. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very profound and deep conversation with the person you care for.
Right. Thank you, Sonia. Now, another question. Well, let me just remind our listeners that if you are planning on getting married and you have a question or issue that you'd like advice on, ask us. Ask us via WhatsApp and voice notes, not longer than 30 seconds, to 876-997-3125, or post on the Love 101 Facebook page. You can also call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8 to participate. We're also Facebook and YouTube Live, and we want to hear from you. Don't go away. We are going to continue looking at issues and questions and some cases that are important in those important to those getting married. All right. So, what about a situation, Sonia, where the couple comes from different socioeconomic backgrounds?
Mhm.
How can they navigate the differences or the issues that may come up as a result of that?
Mhm. Again, I see a question in the group chat about what are other kinds of conflict,
Yes.
and this would come under other kinds of conflict. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the evidence based findings about conflict in couples relationship is that there are two types of conflict. There are perpetual conflict issues and there are resolvable conflict issues. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of premarital counseling is helping the couple to recognize which issues they have are perpetual, meaning they'll always come up.
Right.
They're not resolvable. Or if you resolve them this week with one particular solution, by 3 weeks' time, it's going to come up again in
Mm-hmm.
form, and we're going to have to renegotiate at that point.
Right.
So they discovered that a large number of couples conflict are perpetual and will keep coming up because they have to do with, again, dreams, deep held positions, values that are different from different between the partners.
Right.
The issue with socioeconomic realities is that they can throw up perpetual differences as well as resolvable differences.
Mm-hmm.
One person might feel um, a certain way about budgeting. They might
Right.
have differences in how they should dedicate their monthly budget, let's say,
Right.
or
Mm-hmm.
who should take on what responsibilities. Those sort of differences would be probably resolvable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other value issues, whether that would be more perpetual in nature. I'm trying to think of one.
That
Such
things that would be important to one but not the other. So
exactly,
things
or
that need
different
to be on the budget. Right.
that things that are on the budget. Yeah, exactly. Should we have is it okay to save money towards a vacation, or
Right.
should we be investing that money instead in our our retirement fund instead of a vacation
Right.
or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
something that might come up, and
Right.
and that they might need help in resolving. So we're bringing up all different types of conflict here, and
Yes.
it really underscores how important it is for couples to have the skills to handle this kind of conflict.
Yes. Yes. All right. And what about a situation where one partner suffers from a mental illness such as depression?
Mhm. Yeah. Um, Again, this can a lot would help in terms of what we call psychoeducation. And
Yes.
psychoeducation is where you understand, first of all, the genesis of the disorder. You know, what has brought
Mm-hmm.
about, what's the history of this disorder. You know, some disorders in some people are have a genetic reality, in that they have
Right.
a predisposition because of family genetics. Others
Right.
are arise from trauma that have happened, or neglect or abuse that has happened in the
Mm-hmm.
individual's life.
Yes.
Um, so a big part of premarital counseling in that situation would be, one, understanding the genesis of the disorder,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the symptoms, what it causes in the individual's life, uh,
Yes.
and therefore how it might impact the relationship. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, the big thing would be coping mechanisms. You know, how do we compensate for the symptoms
Huh.
that will arise because of, let's
Right.
say, disorder is depression? How do we
Mm-hmm.
compensate for it as an individual? And how do we
Right.
compensate for it as, how can the couple compensate for this disorder, and help to cope with it as best as possible? And that would come up in
Right.
counseling as well, for sure.
Right. Right. Definitely. And I really want to um, agree strongly with you on the psychoeducation. Sometimes just understanding the nature of the disorder, how it
Absolutely.
progresses, what can happen, the kind of effects that it can have on your partner, can help you to be a little bit more understanding and enable you to be supportive to
Yes.
the partner while still maybe not feeling left out or angry or just having a better
Resentful.
understanding.
Resentful is a
Right.
big one. Yes,
Yes, yes.
for sure.
So
There's
definitely
a question that says,
psychoeducation.
can counseling pick up these disorders in person who have no idea they have one? Oftentimes, yes. So the
Mhm.
number of counselors who offer premarital counseling, actually you have to complete a premarital questionnaire. And
Right.
within the questionnaires, there will be screeners for certain disorders, such as anxiety disorders, um, mood
Mood
disorders of
disorders.
one, and so on. So it's not necessarily a comprehensive set of tests to pick up the
Right.
whole wide range of mental health disorders, but they're
Mhm.
usually screeners within these questionnaires that can help to identify,
If
there's
there are
something here that needs
concerns.
totality.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. All right. And then what about, I think this is an age old one, no pun intended, the age gap. So you have one person who is significantly younger than their partner. And, you know, some issues can come up about that. How can they navigate the age
Mhm.
difference?
Yeah. Um, and guess what, Tamai? This comes down to conflict again. You see how
Yes.
important conflict is, right?
Right.
For some couples, the age difference will throw up a whole lot of differences, right? Differences of
Yes.
opinion, inability to connect around cultural icons, that sort of a
Right.
thing. Interests, things you have in common. There will be lots of differences that can come up, and for some couples, doesn't make a difference. You know,
Right.
the age difference, it's neither here nor
Not an
there, and it
issue.
doesn't show
Right.
up. But either way, the most important thing is to have conflict management skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that if there's an age difference, if there's a socioeconomic difference, if there is the fact that there's a gender difference throws up conflict to begin with.
Right.
And so the biggest thing, as I said again, quite often is less what the conflict is about or why it happens,
Mm-hmm.
or do I have the skills to handle it in a constructive way with my
Yeah.
partner?
Yeah. I wanted to tell us some tips on the how to manage the conflicts, but I'm going to just remind our listeners that this is Family Time on Love 101, and we are also on Love 101's YouTube and Facebook pages/channels, and we are produced by Family Life Ministries. If you are planning on getting married, not already married, but planning to get married, and you have a question or issue that you would like advice on, ask us. ask us via WhatsApp text and voice notes not longer than 30 seconds to 876-997-3125 or the Love 101 Facebook page, or you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8278 to participate. We are also Facebook and YouTube Live, and we want to hear from you. So don't go away. All right. Now it is 8:15. We're coming on the home stretch, Sonia. And I want to at the, the the ways that conflict can be resolved. So you've referred a lot to how can we how can couples resolve their conflicts in a way that is going to support and nurture their relationship and have their foundation to remain secure.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you some high level tips, as it were, because we're kind of getting into the meat of premarital counseling. But one is to understand that how you first of all begin the conversation is very important. A lot of times, once couples notice that there's a difference, it can kind of get their back up and they can end up kind of attacking each other to start the conflict conversation. Does that make sense? And how you start the conflict conversation is an important indicator to whether it's going to be constructive or destructive. Okay? A lot of times a conflict conversation, or too often, a conflict conversation starts with an accusation or a criticism or some form of contempt. I've discovered that you do something different from me, and I'm like shocked, and I judge you, and I come at you like, something is wrong with you if that's the way you do it. That's your opinion. What on earth? Who does that sort of attitude? Okay? You start the conversation that way, it's probably going to go south. Okay. In fact, a fun fact is that they discovered in a number of studies that the way that the first 3 minutes of a conflict conversation goes indicates in 90+% of the time how well the conversation is going to go. Okay, so if you start off attacking, there's a 9 in 1 chance that that's going to be a destructive conversation. So that's number one. So in premarital counseling, we give you the mechanics of how to start a conversation, a conflict conversation. And it usually starts with describing yourself instead of describing your partner. Okay, so focusing on the perfect I statements. I'm feeling this way about this matter. I'm feeling frightened. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling concerned. I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling abandoned. Okay, so it's starting with how you feel, because it's the biggest thing that connects to people. Guess what? Is emotions. And so you start the conversation explaining the emotional impact that the events or the issue is having on you. Then you describe the issue that is bothering you, trying as much as possible to leave out you. Okay, so it might be, I am concerned that we have not spent much time together in the last 5 weeks. Okay,
yes, as opposed to you're always working.
Yeah, you're always working. Because the minute you say that, guess what you're gonna get? You're gonna
defenses go up.
Absolutely. Okay, so to the extent you can say, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling worried, I'm feeling abandoned, I'm feeling confused.
I miss you. We have not spent. I miss our time together.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And then a big part of handling a conflict is getting the partner to say not only what the problem is, but what is it that would make you feel better about it.
Right.
Okay? Right. So I'm feeling really worried and confused that we haven't spent much time together. I would love it so much if we could just take an hour together this evening after dinner, just talking about what our work day was like. Could we do that?
Yeah.
So it's stating what you need in a positive way.
Right.
Okay. A lot of times conflict conversations are about criticizing. You don't do this, you don't do that. You using very absolute words like you never, you only,
you always.
Those are fighting words. Okay, that's that's not gonna go well. So that's some of the mechanics. Then once the conflict conversation starts, it's important to leave out what we call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and they call those. And that they call them that because when you use these mechanisms for dealing with conflict, like the 4 horsemen in the end of days, it means it's going to be the end of days of your relationship if you use that mechanism too often. And the
Okay.
four horsemen of the apocalypse are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. So we try in
Mm-hmm.
premarital counseling to help couples not to give couples alternatives to those ways that we kind of natural our
Yes.
knee-jerk reaction is that way, you know. A big one also in dealing with conflict is managing your emotions as well. So a lot of times conflict can get us very upset and antagonistic with each other. It's important to have calming exercises before you continue to engage, because a lot of times it's when people are most upset that they do the most damage to their relationship. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important to know how to de-escalate a conversation when you're starting to get really flooded with emotion.
Right. Right.
So those are some
Okay.
tips.
And those are, I think that that is enough for our listeners to start on. You know, definitely want to avoid contempt, criticism. Tell me the other two, Sonia, remind me.
Defensiveness
Uh-huh.
and stonewalling.
Defensiveness
So shutting down
and
and
stone.
shutting down.
Yes, just get quiet and don't talk. It's malice. You're keeping malice
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
house.
It's like
You need
I'm
to
here,
stop
but
that.
I'm not even gonna answer you. I'm not even gonna engage you.
Yes,
I don't know what you're
right,
talking about. I'm done with
right.
you.
All right, we have a call, question from a listener. I have been married for 6 years now, and if I give my husband sex 6 days a week, and one day I don't give him cuss, how how do I deal with it?
Hmm. So guess what? These two have a difference, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
a difference in perhaps oh gosh, the word is slipping me. Libido,
Uh huh.
okay.
Yeah.
In that he has a need for a more sexual on a more frequent basis than she does. So that's a difference. And unfortunately, he's using the horseman of criticism, um,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps contempt. I'm trying to imagine how those conversation goes. If she feels like he's cussing her, he's probably telling her off. He's probably putting her down. He's probably making her feel like she's a bad person because because they have this difference. So how do you deal with it is it's helping the couple to negotiate a position with each other again.
Right. Right.
Helping
Mm-hmm.
each one to understand the needs of the other, giving them a language to really share with each other what their needs are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the most important thing, as I said, understanding your
Yes.
partner and their needs has to
Mm-hmm.
precede any kind of persuasion or negotiation. So
Right.
right now she is feeling kind of forced, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and she's not feeling as if she has a voice in what's in their sex life, and
Right.
in how it unfolds, and that is causing her a lot of distress. And I think that in a counseling session, be premarital or otherwise, what would help
Right.
this couple is giving them again the skills to interact with each other around this problem. Their problem is not
Yes.
unusual. A lot of couples have differences
Mm-hmm.
in sexual needs that they have to,
Right.
come to terms with, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
process of coming to terms with that they can benefit
Right. Right.
from
All
premarital
right.
counseling.
Definitely. No, I have one last one before we go into hearing your final thoughts. What do you have to say for a couple whose perpetual issue is tardiness? So one of them is always late, and it grates on the other's nerve who is a stickler for time.
Yeah. Do you know that's one of the most popular perpetual differences? Right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's the most
Yes.
recurring perpetual differences that couples can have.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Kathy, I hate to sound like a scratched record. It's helping the couple talk to each other in a non-judgmental way,
Yes.
in a non-contemptuous way. And that's hard because the person who is
Mm-hmm.
punctual has a very hard time seeing the other person as having different needs, different values, different priorities. You know what I mean? Without
Mm-hmm.
judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And once you make your judgment clear, or once you're judging the other person from the beginning, it's just very hard to move to any kind of resolution. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of and 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 it's important, as I said again, to kind of have some understanding and sincere understanding, and that can only come from important and profound conversations.
Yes, yes. All right. And if they and I suspect you're going to tell us the same thing, but I have another question that has come up here. What if they have different ideas about what the wedding day should look like? Whose day is it?
The wedding day. Well, I would say
Mhm.
it's the couple's day.
So it's not the bride's day,
It's not the bride's day. I mean,
and it's
I don't know of any bride who would want her groom to be dissatisfied or unhappy and feel
mhm,
completely disenfranchised on the wedding day. You know what I mean?
right.
And so
Hmm.
often, if you think about it, so often, not all the time, grooms have so very few requests on a on a
So true.
wedding day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's important that they can at least share how they both feel about, and that's a big thing that comes up in premarital counseling, I find, because
Hmm.
planning the wedding can be so stressful. So it's
Stressful.
almost
Yes.
as if this is the first test that the couple often gets. You know what I
Right.
mean? um
Yes.
in how they're going to work on a project together that's going to
Hmm.
cause a lot of stress to their family. um,
Right.
and so
Hmm.
sometimes that is a big part of the conversation in premarital counseling, where the counselor is really sitting back, allowing them to talk, guiding them to say, wait a
Right.
minute, let's rephrase that in a way that your partner can hear
Right.
it. Say it that way, your partner can't
Hmm.
hear. The
Hmm.
defense wall is
Right.
going to go up immediately. So let's take that again,
Right.
sort of a thing.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
guiding them through a negotiating conversation so that everybody can feel a part, everybody can feel heard. Sometimes you just need to be heard, and then your position, you're happy to acquiesce on part of your position.
Right.
Sometimes you just
Yeah.
want to feel heard and like your point is valid in some way, and that just
Right.
opens the road
Right.
and the road to some kind of middle ground.
For compromise. Right.
Indeed.
Right. Okay. So, any final thoughts for our listeners and those who are planning to get married?
Yeah, I would say that premarital counseling can be such a rewarding experience. It really helps you to get to
Hmm.
know your partner well, because you're given the tools to do so, the tools to successfully interrogate your partner to understand them better. And guess what? In so doing, you end up understanding yourself better, as you have to explore the same questions for yourself, which sometimes you've never done before. And you're only now forced to do it because guess what? Somebody who is different is coming into your personal space. Um, Again, also,
Right.
marriage is one of the things that gives you the best opportunity or avenue for personal growth, because it forces you to do a lot of
Hmm.
introspection and understanding of yourself if you're going to be successful in this marriage. Understanding your needs, where they come
Right.
from, understanding your family of origin, understanding the values they've handed to you, some conscious and some unconscious. So
Right.
premarital counseling has so much to offer. It really is an investment in yourself, as well as in your marriage, as well as in your partnership. So I can't overstate the benefits to be gained.
Right. 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 All right, Kat. Sonia, thank you so much for taking time to share with us and to share with our listeners and to educate us. And I know it's just the tip of the icebergs, but listeners, let this be a sign for you that you need to go to do some premarital counseling. So
Thank you for the
time
chance
the
to
money, invest the
favorite
money, save
subject.
the money.
Yeah.
Yes, and definitely put it towards the future of your marriage. And guess what? Healthy marriages mean healthy families. Healthy families make healthy communities, and the healthy communities makes a healthy nation. We're going to be seeing better conflict management all around. I want to thank you all for being with us, listeners. And if you have issues related to this and other issues of a personal nature, you can call on Family Life Ministries. We're centered in Portmore at 117 Cecile Avenue, and you can call 876-939-7917. Or counselors in Kingston and the other parts of the island can be contacted via our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101, and we will connect you. Remember, that if you or someone you know would like counseling on dealing with any issue in family, relationships, or just everyday life, call Family Life Ministries. If you have questions or concerns and you want to make an appointment, you can do so by calling the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with Family Life Ministries and our programs, you can find us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries, on Instagram at FLMGA, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Family Life Ministries FLMGA. Before we leave you, I want to remind you of 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 to 5. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude. It does not dishonor others. It is not self seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. Join us again next week on Love on One at 5:30 p.m. We also want to say thanks again to our special guest, Sonia Mitchell, to our producer, Kathy Gale of Open Communications, our studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course to you, our listeners. Stay well, stay safe, stay best. I am Tamaya Wilson.
Thank you for listening to